Hi, and welcome to another edition of NAIC Insight Series. I'm your host, Bob Greene, and I am delighted today to be joined by Stephanie Smith, the Chief Operating Officer of BlackRock Alternative Investors. Welcome, Stephanie.
Hi, Bob. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to spend some time with you and our colleagues today at NAIC and guests. Looking forward to this discussion.
I've been looking forward to it as well. Let's jump right in. Stephanie, tell us a little bit about what you do and what you lead and are responsible for at BlackRock.
Sure. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of our alternatives business. Essentially, it's across private equity, real estate, infrastructure, credit, multi-alt solutions, and hedge funds. We have over 300 billion of assets under management. I've been here for about 14 months. I'm excited. This is a happening business right now across the street. And we have 1,400 people across 50 locations. And basically, what we do is everything in our power with the assets that we have under management to meet our clients' whole portfolio needs.
That's a big job, and you're right. I think the alternative segment is the hottest sector in the entire financial asset management space. Talk to us a little bit about, I know that life doesn't amount to what you do in one single day, but what is a day in the life of Stephanie Smith like, at least constrained to the BlackRock portion of your day?
It's a day filled with lots of meetings. We spend a lot of time together with our business partners collaborating on various options on what we can do to meet our clients' needs.
Mhm.
My day usually is comprised at looking at risk, looking at thinking about our human capital, thinking about what's happening across the world and making sure not only that the business is being executed, but our people are safe and that all things are happening as planned. I spend a fair amount of my time in strategy sessions, not only thinking about today, but planning for the next 3 years. A lot of time with technology and a lot of time thinking through strategies on how to transform and stay a couple steps ahead to anticipate or to address gaps in the market.
So we're going to have more time across the interview to talk a lot about what you do at BlackRock and how you see the markets. But prior to coming to BlackRock, you spent a fair amount of time at another firm and had what many would observe as an amazing career. Obviously, BlackRock saw that and agreed, and they recruited you. But tell us about your life prior to your career life prior to BlackRock.
Prior to joining BlackRock, I spent 21 years at Goldman Sachs.
Mhm.
It's where I grew up. I've had many lives there. The way I like to encapsulate my career is whatever was broken, whatever was different, whatever was quirky, whatever we could imagine. Let's ask Stephanie to do it.
Yeah.
And frankly, I think that ability to be agile, to adapt, to learn, to be curious
Mhm.
opened up my mind and many opportunities for me, most unplanned. I started out doing e-commerce strategy back in the day, 1999, when it was hot.
Mhm.
I will confess, I did toy with joining a .com, and my husband at the time said, "Get a job."
Yeah.
And that led me to Goldman Sachs. And I relish and I enjoyed the experience there. I've had, like I mentioned, I've worked in the securities division. I've moved over into operations. I did the bank when we became a bank holding company. And most recently, I spent 4.5 years in Hong Kong,
Mhm.
based in Hong Kong, being head of operations for all of Asia Pacific, as well as COO for our Hong Kong bank.
Stephanie, as I see you beam across the screen and get excited to talk about the many challenges you face, you and I would both admit you're not central casting for what one might think of as a job like this. Talk to us about one, how being different, how being driven, how being talented has enabled you to have this success, And then let's reflect back on where some of those traits came from.
I think if I could just take a step back and to be quite vulnerable and transparent,
Mhm.
for me, success, I guess I think about it as a culmination of the lessons you've learned through mistakes.
Okay.
Any leader worth their weight in salt would admit what has made them great was in fact the lessons that they've learned through the mistakes that they've made. I
Mhm.
often tell my mentees, don't look at me as someone who's successful. Instead, I've done 25 years plus on Wall Street, made a lot of mistakes every year, including now. But what has been the hallmark to where I am now in my journey has been my ability to learn the lessons,
Mhm.
dust off, be resilient, and use those lessons as a catapult to the next level. And so, for me, I think the culmination of what has made me me is I categorize myself this way. I am not shy.
Mhm.
I am not afraid to be wrong, and
Mhm.
I'm not afraid to take risks or
Mhm.
ask for help. And those features about me started as an analyst, turning to my right and to my left and going, what do you do?
Mhm.
Why do we do it? What is that? Why do our clients want it? How do we win? How do we lose?
Mhm.
Very simple, basic questions.
Mhm.
For me, being intellectually curious, for me, understanding the why is just as important as understanding the how.
Mhm.
And I've used that throughout my entire career, even now here at BlackRock. I cannot understand everything that we do at this amazing firm, 10 trillion AUM in public sector as well as the private markets. So I'm constantly, what do we do? How do we do it? Why do we do it? How do we help our clients win? And it just makes work interesting and fun. You feel like you're able to meet at the intersection of adding value. You're
Mhm.
not what you do, you're not what you earn, you are the impact that you have to enable something greater than yourself.
Right.
Everyone knows the story, and I won't belabor it, where, JFK asked the guy that was cleaning up, what is he doing? And he said, sir, I'm sending someone to the moon.
Mhm.
So when people ask me what I do, I'm just a small piece. We have smart investors. We have product strategists. We have distribution people. We have lawyers. We have operations individuals, technologists, the same individuals at all of your firms.
Mhm.
And all we do is enable someone to go to the moon. Enable all of us are working hard to meet the needs of our clients, especially now in this macroeconomic environment.
So Stephanie, when I look at you and I research your story and I think about what you've achieved, a couple of things come to mind, and maybe I'll query some of those with you.
Sure.
The first that is really obvious is that you have an energy that radiates out from you. How do you, one, how do you recognize that you have that energy? And two, how do you keep that energy vibrant and renewed so that you can continue to basically radiate?
First, let me confess, I am human. I
Mhm.
have my highs and I have my lows. But what pulls me and fuels me is family first.
Mhm.
I anchor on something that is greater than myself. And I believe that everyone needs some sort of purpose. I call it their why.
Mhm.
And I'm very clear on my why. I have two amazing sons that I feel so fortunate to have. One's 18, one's 21, both in college. I have my husband, married 24 years. I have my father. I have two brothers. I have a support network that cheers me on, and friends and family that encourage me. And additionally, also, I have a community, and I use that word on purpose
Mhm.
instead of family, because I believe that community or a group of an organization that you choose to be a part of. And it doesn't feel transactional, but it feels enriching.
Mhm.
And that's how I feel when I'm here at BlackRock. I am being poured into. And so I try to seek community that I can
Mhm.
pour out, but at the same time, I am receiving. I'm being stretched. I'm receiving. So yes, I realize I'm a whole lot of Stephanie, a
Mhm.
lot of energy. I think I've heard that since the day I started school.
Mhm.
She's smart, she's amazing, but good God, she can talk. Or good God, she has a lot of energy.
Yeah.
That's always been me. I've learned to harness it
Yeah.
and use it for good. At first, early in my career, I actually tried to fit in,
Yeah.
to be quiet, heads down, just work, do models, and do pitch books. I wanted to be like everyone else, but
Sure.
it didn't work for me
Mhm.
because I wasn't authentically me.
Mhm.
And it wasn't until one day a senior woman looked at me in a meeting and said, "You're not talking. I hear you out on the floor. And in here, you're just this shrinking violet.
Mhm.
I need you to speak."
Mhm.
That woman was the first woman to change the entire trajectory of my career because she believed that I had something to contribute beyond the papers I produce.
Mhm.
And she said, "Steph, I'm going to look at you in a meeting." She's so senior. She's a
Mhm.
partner at Goldman until you say something.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to say. I was an analyst.
Yeah.
And it started out like a question,
Mhm.
then a statement that sounded like a question.
Mhm.
Then pretty soon it became a statement, all because she persisted and
Yeah.
practiced.
Yeah.
It wasn't just the push, but I felt the door was open and I was brave enough to try, get feedback, try again, get feedback, try again. And I feel like when those opportunities or those individuals
Mhm.
present themselves, or the ideas even within ourselves, our knowing, we should act on it. Try. What's the worst that can happen? Dust yourself off, try again, and reframe those stumble moments
Mhm.
as lessons. Life is about learning the lessons, and the lessons are about how what's embedded in us. What are our gifts? I did not expect this. I often wrap up with this, and I'm going to use it because we're not wrapping up, we're just starting. I often say that, my career is nothing like I thought it would be, but
Mhm.
everything it should,
That's
all because
beautiful.
I was open.
That's beautiful. So you just took me very effectively into the next observation. I've only known you for a short while, but as I read your bio and look at the jobs you took and overlay the timing when you took that job, you are absolutely fearless because you took a lot of jobs before they were a thing, right?
Yes.
E-commerce, I mean, I was at Arthur Andersen around the same time you were at Goldman, and when we had our first e-commerce teams, people were walking in with definitions. That's all they had, right? E-commerce is the sale of goods and services
Yes.
across, yeah, yeah. But
Yes.
it wasn't a business yet. I
No.
mean, people want to help. So talk to me about the fearlessness, and I wanna understand what I know you and I discussed in the prep. I want to understand how you process your fears and your experience into lessons.
I I look at life as, first of all, I am prone to lean into, I don't want to call it the pain, but
Mhm.
the unknown because
Yeah.
I'm curious.
Mhm.
I'm just
Mhm.
My mother would say I'm nosy,
Mm.
but I say I'm curious. It's like a puzzle. I want to understand how it works, how the pieces fit together.
Mhm.
And I love to be a part of something and put something together. There are some people built to start things. There are some people built to carry on things.
Mhm.
Some people built to break down things. Everybody has a role and a secret sauce and a gift to this world. My gift is that thing we don't know what to do with. Let's figure out what it can do.
Mhm.
And so when I was looking for a job and I met this team, what draws me to a job, and I often say this, I honestly generally don't care what I do per
Mhm.
se. It's who I work with and who I work for.
Mhm.
People are my inspiration.
Mhm.
My ability to have impact, and what I mean, it's not I am doing something for Bob Greene and
Mhm.
changing his life. No, 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 no. That I see the beauty and the power of the what if. If I worked with Bob, what would I learn? So
Mhm.
in that process, I'm trying to understand, how does he think? How does he inspire? What is his vision? What is he after? I often like to say my 3Ds when I get any job. What do I need to do, demonstrate, or deliver?
Mhm.
That's it. You're clear on those 3Ds, and I can capture the vision of do, deliver, demonstrate. I'm locked and loaded and ready to go. And so I've been fortunate enough to get some really interesting opportunities presented or raise my hand. I want to do that.
Mhm.
Sometimes I was told no. And then I would wait. Okay, how about if I try this? And I was told no. And then how I got into the heart of e commerce, because I was just to be the analyst that created the books to go pitch to clients.
Yep.
I would sit next to the associate and he was working long hours doing the models. I
Mhm.
said, I'll help you if you teach me.
Right.
And I sat there and I eased up and I said, he taught me how to do Excel and do my V lookups and build the models. And then pretty soon we were sharing the work. Then
Mhm.
I looked at somebody else. What were they doing?
Mhm.
And I just wanted to learn and be a part of contributing. And so those were the ways in small increments. It wasn't about just this move to BlackRock was
Mhm.
probably one of the biggest moves. There were other big moves, my move to Asia, but
Yes.
the majority of the moves that I've made was the opportunity presented itself and had a choice.
Mhm.
Take it or let it go.
Mhm.
Be afraid or and let the feelings drive me, or anchor on what I know. Here's what I know.
Mhm.
I'm smart.
Mhm.
I can learn anything.
Mhm.
I can be taught. We're teachable human beings.
Yep.
We just have to know how we learn. And once you know how, I'm visual. You draw
Mhm.
it on a whiteboard, I got it.
Yep.
Show me the money, I got it.
Mhm.
And it's been the hallmark of just driving me closer and closer to different opportunities. And most importantly, building relationships. No one gets here
Mhm.
or there
Mhm.
by him or herself. I am fortunate by the team of people that I've had around me that have asked for help. I don't know bomb math. Help me prepare for my Series 7 and 63.
Mhm.
I don't know. I grew up in fixed income. By heart, I'm a credit girl.
Yep.
I had to learn equities in Hong Kong, and I had
Mhm.
to humble myself in a conference room for a month with my team with whiteboards over and over, just doing the translation and understanding equities. And then it just branched out from there, all because I was willing to ask, for help. And
Mhm.
so I've learned being brave to raise your hand. It's hard, but that's the easy part. The real test is our humility to
Mhm.
ask for help and acknowledge what you do know and what you don't know.
So I want to take you back now.
Yes.
There is no 8-year-old little girl that likely wants to be a managing partner at BlackRock, right? So I doubt very seriously that, at least in title, you had any sense that you were going to be where you are today. What
No.
was your dream back then? And what experiences did you have along the way that guided you in this pathway through Goldman Sachs and ultimately to BlackRock and being this powerhouse on Wall Street? What dream were you pursuing that led you to all of this?
So my degree is in marketing.
Mhm.
So I should be in an advertising company, even though I feel like to do my job, it's a bit of selling a vision, and making it plain and planning it out. So it feels a little bit like I am in my lane, albeit different. I did not plan this at all. If anything, this was the last industry that I thought I would be in. I genuinely wanted to be in marketing and or international import export.
Mhm.
I got into this by accident. Growing up, though, I wanted to be Oprah.
Okay.
I wanted to be the woman that got to sit next to really smart people and understand their journey
Mhm.
and break it down simply so that others could see it was achievable too.
Yep.
Now, I still want to be Oprah one day. So if she's ever watching, I'm up for a mentorship.
Yep.
But until then, I live my Oprah moments in one on one
Mhm.
with my team. I live my Oprah moments in my team strategy sessions and development, in town halls when we bring guest speakers in, authors, etc., or in these moments where it's less about me. And I hope people walk away with that this first generation immigrant who put herself through school at City University of New York
Mhm.
was able, with a bit of luck, a lot of humility, and a lot of hard work,
Mhm.
to learn, apply, and put herself in places to see those opportunities, ended up here. So
Mhm.
if I can do it, anyone can do it.
Mhm.
My best friend, Harvard Law, top of her class, second Black woman to make partner at Goldman Sachs, phenomenal.
Mhm.
And I want to show how wide that divide is.
Yeah.
Stephanie, Baruch College, my best friend, Harvard Law.
Mhm.
If these two women can break glass, you can break glass in your own circles as well.
I love it. So what you're really telling the audience is there's room at the table for everybody, right? As
Absolutely. And
long
I
as
say when you break the glass, break it wide enough so that others can come through with fewer scratches.
absolutely. So Stephanie, I'm fond of this notion, even though I don't read owner's manuals, that most of us in our careers come without an owner's manual, right?
Oh,
There are
yes.
these things that we can do, there are these things that we can't do. We have our best use cases, we have our worst, but we actually have to experience and learn those. One, I want to know what your superpower is, but I also want to understand how you found out and became confident that that was actually your superpower.
I didn't naturally think that I had a superpower.
Okay.
I didn't start out that way. I am not Shonda Rhimes that woke up one day and said, I am glorious, hear me roar.
Hmm.
Actually, mine has been a journey of self realization and actualization.
Hmm.
I spent a lot of time analyzing my behaviors, being clear about my outcomes, and got help with accountability partners, some friends and family that your language doesn't match what you're trying to achieve. And over time, I've developed.
Did you ask for that feedback or did they just offer it?
At first, I did not ask for it.
Right.
The culture of Goldman is very feedback oriented. And if you know my Jamaican family, it's feedback oriented.
Yes. Yes.
And at first, it can feel like, what's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? Where I am now in my life, it's what's possible, what's possible, what's possible, and what do I really care about? Because everybody has an opinion and feedback,
Yeah.
right? But it becomes, is that, does it align with me authentically? Is that something I want to address or change? Is it a priority? If not, as they say, in some organization, leave it at the door as you walk on your way out.
Yep.
But if it's for you, pick it up and carry it. So there have been certain truths that have been shared with me that I've really had to work hard on and still continue to work at. But to answer your question directly, my superpower, I believe at this point in time, halfway through my life,
Hmm.
is my ability to convene.
Hmm.
I like you said, I love people and I'm drawn to people. So when there is a crisis, when there is a problem, I'm smart enough to know I'm not the smartest person in the room and have all the answers. So I pull and I pull and I pull people together in a conference room. And I sit and we talk about the challenge
Mhm.
and I present it out. And I try to draw ideas out of everyone, challenge them. Well, what do you mean by that? And what about that? What do you think about that? Convene and
Mhm.
listen.
Mhm.
And in the process of listening to discourse, this debate and the discussion,
Mhm.
I'm learning and I'm processing. And then here it comes for me. It's like the only way to imagine it is like a chessboard. I
Yeah.
literally feel myself lift up. I'm listening. But then I look down at the board and it all makes sense. And I'm
Yeah.
like, thank you guys. I think I got something.
Yeah.
And then the thread of what I'm
Mhm.
hearing starts to come out. Here's what I'm hearing. Here's
Mhm.
what I'm hearing. Here's what I'm hearing. Is that what we're all saying? And pulling it together in a consistent, cohesive way
Mhm.
that is clear, pictorial, because that's the way I tend to speak,
Mhm.
that casts a vision,
Mhm.
gives common purpose, and then say, let's go.
Yeah.
Then I let it go to trusted partners to execute, but then circle back, drive accountability.
Mhm.
So the whole bring together, empower, let them go, drive for accountability, and execute. That is what I do. Strategy is at the
Mhm.
heart of what I do, but I don't do it alone. I've learned doing it with people is reinforcing and motivating for me.
So I love the way you described the chessboard. I also love as a chess player when you talked about lifting up, right? Because one of the things chess coaches always talk about is getting the right vantage point or perspective to see the board and the problem better. So I love that. I would imagine, and I'm going to go out on a leap of faith here. I would imagine that you have a particular way that you like to construct your teams, right? Talk
Yes.
to me about how Stephanie constructs a team. What type of people do you want? What type of we can't get into skills because we don't know what the problem is, but just talk about how you bring together teams to solve problems.
So when I think about putting together a team, simply put, I try to find everyone that is not like me.
Mhm.
Stylistically, thought, approach, communication style, disposition, doesn't matter. I want difference. I'm a daughter of a contractor.
Mhm.
And what I've learned by observing my dad, you go buy a piece of wood, the value is what it is from Home Depot. And but it doesn't become something beautiful until it's refined.
Okay.
Refinement is that process of bringing people together that are different from you.
Mhm.
Rubbing sandpaper against that wood to shape it, to smooth out the edges, to form it, to develop it. People often think of clay and put it all together. For me, no, no. The image I want our people to have is sandpaper because it doesn't feel good.
Mhm.
But you know what? That process
Smooth.
is it is beautifying, it is enhancing in value,
Mhm.
and it leaves the object that once was blah more beautiful, more worthwhile, more impactful, right? And ready to be used for service. And that's how I think about it. When I think about forming a team, it's about bringing people together that sometimes will challenge me, be my truth teller. Stephanie, it sounds like you have some assumptions. What are those biases that you're thinking about? What's your predisposition? And poke and poke and poke until at the end, the answer we get to was better than something I could probably get to on my own.
Love it. I'm glad I went out on that leap because I knew you had something very good to share with us. I'm going to shift gears a little bit, and I'm doing this with your permission. And again, we these interviews make us all a little vulnerable. But 2 years ago, in the middle of the pandemic, America's consciousness was rocked by an event that we all saw on TV. And it was ugly, it was base, it was vile. And many people have now begun to use the victim of this as a time marker. I don't like to do that, so I'm not going to
Right.
do that. But you know what I'm talking about. You're the mother of sons,
Mhm.
and yet you're also a woman whose walk in America is at the highest level in the boardrooms and suites that drive our country. Where were you mentally? How did you react when all of that happened? And what can we as a people take from that collective experience?
What's interesting for me, I mentioned earlier, I'm a first generation immigrant from
Mhm,
Jamaica.
mhm,
Jamaica has a motto, out of many, one. And the main purpose behind it is the country is very, very diverse. Think of New York City, multiracial and ethnic as well.
mhm,
My aunt, Asian, aunt, blonde, white, doesn't matter. That is Jamaican, and they sound more Jamaican than I do. It's the language that binds and the food and the country that brought us together. So
mhm,
coming to America as a young child, some of the baggage or some of the history and the wounds
mhm,
that America has was a little bit difficult to translate until that moment. In that moment, it wasn't about whether you were American or not, it was whether you were human.
mhm,
And what hit me at my core, what I saw for myself, was a human being that looked like they could have been my uncle, my brother, my sons.
yeah.
So look at me. You've called me successful. I think I'm on my way and I'm working on it. A life of impact for me is success.
Yep.
I got more to go and more to do, more
Sure.
lives to touch and empower and help, and myself to develop and learn as well. But in that moment, I just thought I had flashes that scared me. And I remember I was in an executive meeting and
Mhm,
they were talking about it and they were like, Steph, would you like to say a few words? And I was like stunned.
yeah.
The only thing that welled up was emotions.
Yeah.
And I literally cried in front of 20 senior executive of the firm trying to get out the thought of what it meant to me. And what it meant was here was a woman, and at the time I lived in New Jersey, in the burbs. I said, I live in the burbs in New Jersey. I have two teenage boys who like to come to the city, take
Yep.
the train. They look like everybody else. Nobody knows that they went to that private school. Nobody knows that they go to that boarding school. Nobody knows what college
Mhm,
that one goes to.
mhm,
It didn't matter. All they saw was two brown boys.
yep.
And the only thing I could think of in that moment was it could have been them.
Mhm,
That means money can't protect them. Education can't protect them. I can't protect them.
yep.
I'm doing the best I can to uplift and change a generation. I
Mhm,
didn't come from, right?
mhm,
I'm trying to make, and I tell my boys this, make the next generation better. I am working my hardest to raise the bar so high.
mhm,
So boys, you got to jump over.
mhm,
And I do that because I want them to feel like something to aspire to. And it's not economic. It is about effort and having choice.
mhm,
Because growing up for me, it was city college or no college. They
mhm,
had choice of college, check. Choice of career, check.
mhm,
And so in that moment, I felt vulnerable. Did they really have a choice?
mhm,
And I had to share that as I was talking to say, this is what it means. It wasn't about how people wanted to politicize it,
mhm.
but it was me watching the fragility of life and that I had no control. This is a COO.
Yep.
She likes control.
Yep.
Order. I have my list and I manage everything to a T. And here in a minute, I realize, but for the grace go I.
Mhm,
And I had to express that.
yeah.
In that moment, though, in the end, I was so overwhelmed and I was like, oh my God,
Mhm,
what have I done? Like, have I overshared? What have you know what I mean? And a couple things I've learned. One, especially through that moment, here was my lessons. I needed to be authentically me.
Mhm.
I had to share my story,
Mhm.
share our stories. You don't
Mhm.
have to air our laundry,
Mhm.
but things that humanize us,
Mhm.
loving, family,
Mhm.
work,
Mhm.
charity, sunshine, doesn't matter.
Mhm.
Share something,
Mhm.
humanize ourselves,
Mhm.
connect. We spend so many hours at work, connect.
Mhm.
And then the second thing was telling my truth. That was my truth. Wasn't the truth, meaning for all Black people, but
Mhm.
it was my truth. And being honest about my truth and my concerns allowed other people to support me. Where oftentimes we feel like we have to do it all, be it all, work twice as hard, blah, blah, blah. Yes, we have to excel and operate at excellence. However, we have the power to frame,
Mhm.
right, how we expect to be engaged. So for me, it was, I'm sharing this because I want you to know what it means to me, and I would be honored to know what it means for you. And it was in those moments where I got to know people really well, where some people told me about they didn't realize the privilege that they had with their own children, how they came home, but for the grace of God, inebriated, but they made it home.
Mhm.
And it just equalized a little bit. I heard stories, even of others, people experiences, black, brown, pink, it doesn't matter. Everybody's got a story,
Mhm.
and stories connect us. And in that moment, it went from feeling like a transactional relationship to a relational,
Mhm.
connecting relationship. They're not my best friends. They don't come to my Thanksgiving dinner. But you know what? For the 12, 14 hours I'm in the office, I can smile and go, how's your son?
Mhm.
How's your daughter? How was
Mhm.
vacation? It means something to me,
Mhm.
to connect on that human level. And I think it means a lot to other people as well. Because ultimately, and I'll leave you with this, all we want in life to be seen, to be heard, to be respected, and to be loved. And in that moment, I felt seen, heard, respected. There was nothing more I could ask for.
Thank you. Thank you for that answer. It 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 will forever define, I think, all of us, right, young or old, that are working and engaged with people that are not like us. I think that moment will for always define us in the same way that, where we were on 9/11 and other things. It's just
Mhm.
it's always going to be up there. I struggle with something and I want to get your views on it. And you said a piece of it, but I want to allow you the opportunity to go deeper. What is the obligation that people of color that are senior leaders, when they assemble the council of the highest most in the company, you're invited to that meeting. What is the obligation that those people have to speak truth?
I would challenge that all leaders
Mhm.
have an obligation to speak truth. And truth is undeniable when based in facts.
Yep.
So I like to let discussions, especially around promotion, around team composition, around the things we are trying to do to position the next layer, um, to make steps in their career,
Mhm.
to ask direct, unemotional questions.
Mhm.
I believe there's a place for a mentor,
Mhm.
there's a place for a sponsor, but there's also a place for an advocate. And
Mhm.
we've got to be clear in what role we're playing. When I'm at the boardroom and we're talking about my business strategy or my people or anything, whether this company or before, it was, can I see the stats? Let's start with that.
Mhm.
Without judgment, the stats are the stats.
Mhm.
And it doesn't help to cloud it with this is awful, this is great, this is bad, this is good. No, it's data is facts. Okay. You have two options when it comes with data. What are we going to do about it? So I've learned to disarm. For me, this is my approach. My DEI colleagues may approach it differently because they're in different rooms. But in the room where it happens for me, how I can influence, I've found that my audience is very data driven. So I do a 5-year look back, and then I do a 5-year forecast. What do we aspire, and what are we doing to drive the outcomes we are aspiring for? To do nothing means that nothing's going to change, right? My favorite quote from James Baldwin that says, not everything that is faced will change, but nothing will change unless it's faced. So we have to face it. It's hard, and there's nuance on how you face it in every organization. For me, I start with questions, especially being new here. What have we done before? Have empathy. Don't assume that nothing's been done. It's what have we tried? What have we failed? What have we learned? Based on what we've learned now, what do we plan to do differently? 2, what do we aspire for? And how can we challenge ourselves to do it? Second, and most importantly, how are all of us going to be involved in achieving those outcomes? Now, it doesn't mean a one-on-one hour roundtable lunch where we're talking to people. I try to drive, do you know Stephanie? What do you know about her? I don't know all the Black people. I want to be clear. I don't. So I need to learn. What do you know about her? Oh, what do you think about her work? What have you heard? What does she do great? What's her blind spot? My favorite question to ask. Does she know it? When did we tell her? How are we helping her? Tangible things. And that's when I then harness the power of my HR colleagues, where we all collectively can then plan. Most firms have leadership pipeline reviews. Most firms have talent reviews. The question is, after you've done the review, what are we doing? Now, the responsibility of all leaders, especially Black leaders, is to drive and ask for accountability.
That's right.
What progress have we made? I had a meeting today where we had a discussion around progress that we've made to our aspirational goal. I happen to work at an organization which thoroughly inspired me, where Larry's outspoken about his commitments around having diversity improvements at our firm and setting aspirational goals under our leadership of our DEI person, Michelle Gatson-Williams. And I love that. And she is constantly coming out with her letter. Here's what's going on. Here's what's going on. But it's not only here. I've seen it at other organizations too. So when in doubt, ask. Second, do your part. I am where I am because of the whispers, the push, the nudges, and sometimes the clearing of the brush, not only of diverse leaders, but non-diverse leaders. People who just saw something in me that, honestly, I'm going to be honest, I didn't see. My greatest aspiration when I joined Goldman Sachs was to make VP. When I made VP, it was the happiest day. I was high-fiving. I was celebrating. And I remember feeling so proud. And then a Black woman partner walked up to me and she goes, now we're working to MD. I went, I'm laughing at her, making a joke. And she's looking at me seriously.
Right.
And she was like, no, I'm serious. And in that moment, it clicked. What was possible. I put the ceiling on myself. You see, it's easy to go, oh, I look up, there's no one there. I honestly had to challenge myself in that moment because I had put the cap, my aspiration was there. And she helped raise my aspiration. And then when I made MD, she came, same woman, came back. Now on to partner. I was like, you do realize in 150 years, we only have 2, right? She said, I asked you that. She said, we're working towards partner. And I locked and loaded because she saw something in me that made me feel, my favorite words, I can do it. Sometimes we just need to hear it. Leaders, sometimes our people just need to hear it. I believe in you. You
Yeah.
are capable. You are possible. It is achievable. It doesn't come with, okay, just because I believe in you and I'm your sponsor. No, it required hard work and sacrifice. I had to go to Asia. I had to change jobs. I had to
Mhm.
pull my kids out of school. I had to take risk in certain projects. I had to fail at some
Mhm.
and actually try hard and learn that I am capable in other ways that I never thought possible. I had to try. So therefore, in those moments, just by having a senior leader, just like the woman who said, talk, just
Mhm.
like the woman who said, MD, just like the woman said, partner. It's
Mhm.
just just listening. And sometimes the messages are there, but we're discounting them. I want to encourage people to pause,
Mhm.
take it in and ask yourself, what if?
Mhm.
What would that look like? What would that take? What do I need to do, deliver,
Mhm.
demonstrate to achieve it?
Stephanie, you are giving a career masterclass today, and I'm so grateful for you for doing it because, in all honesty, anyone of any color or race or background that listens to what you're saying can apply that as a roadmap to how to move forward. So I love it. I'd be remiss if I didn't take you into your business, our business. What excites you about the alternative space today? Where are you most bullish in terms of both what BlackRock is doing, but also where the market's headed?
It's a very volatile time, a very unique time that personally, even, at my age, middle age, I hadn't really seen. I've seen the dot-com burst, I've seen the financial crisis, but when have we ever seen the backdrop of, we've had such long success with, you know, low rates and moderate uh rewards that are happening where most of our investments have been paying off. Alts was a thing that was growing
Mhm.
exponentially. It was the nice to have. And what we're hearing and what we're observing is alts now becomes an important piece
Yeah.
of the puzzle where I'm excited to be a part of something now that helps complete and adds to someone's portfolios some
Mhm.
balance through the volatility of what's happening in the public markets.
Mhm.
I don't want to take sides on where people should put their money, but generally speaking, it is when things are choppy, look to diversify.
Mhm.
And alts is a great place to diversify.
Mhm.
We're seeing exponential growth and demand from our clients and interest in
Mhm.
alternatives. We're incredibly focused on our pillars that we talked about, you know, and I think most of our peers on the street are doing the same. Opportunities that one could glean across all of the asset class and alternatives
Mhm.
through the capital structure, from very safe all the way through risky, across all six verticals, private equity, credit, infrastructure, real estate, multi alts, and hedge funds. It's all there.
Mhm.
It's about just what's right for you.
Mhm.
I'm excited about BlackRock because BlackRock is also thinking about how can we leverage our whole platform, this entire platform from very liquid ETFs, equities, everything that we have in our Rolodex, as well as what we have in private markets, and how can we bring them together for our clients
Mhm.
that help create solutions that are unique for them.
Mhm.
But it starts with first partnering with clients and having that relationship that says, I am, as a fiduciary, here trying to help you create and retain wealth. We want to help you. What hurts? Listen, listen, and listen again, and then come back with options and partner with them through what is the best road to go down. It'll be interesting to watch the next few years, but
Mhm.
I do think that BlackRock and the industry can weather it. We've weathered many storms, the 70s, the 80s, the 2000s, 2008s. It's bumpy, but with planning, with help, with collaboration, with partnership, we can navigate through this together. But it's finding that trusted partner.
So once in a lifetime opportunity, a magic wand with only one use in it, you can fix anything about the industry.
Woo!
What would you fix and why?
Huh. That's an interesting question, and I love it because I have a lot of answers, and I got to pick one. Transparency.
Okay.
Because when things are transparent, I believe.
I'm sorry, Stephanie, go back. Define transparency of what to whom?
I believe that our markets can benefit a bit more with transparency.
Okay.
That's Stephanie opinion. I'm not speaking on behalf of BlackRock. I need to be very clear here.
Yep.
And partly because it is my working ethos. I believe that with radical transparency and truth, people make great decisions, understand their risks, rewards, and the opportunities in front of them, make decisions and commit to it. So many times I feel, and maybe it's my family, we make emotional decisions rather than fact-based. And it's all because we don't really know as much as we should. And maybe, again, my family. But with transparency, with partnership, with the right partner that understands your whole need. Stephanie's not a family of 4. She's a family of 10. She has her dad. She has her brother. She has her aunt in Jamaica, her cousins that she's sending through college, whatever. It is my family's story. But understanding me makes my partner that works with me more helpful because he or she understands the pressures, the strains, and my goals. It requires me being transparent to my partner. A lot of time it's, what should I bet on? No. It is, let me tell you my whole story. Here's my hopes and my aspirations, and finding a trusted partner that will walk the journey with you, with information. And the last thing is trust but verify. The only time he told me, read, trust but verify. So for me, transparent, we get documents. It is there. But a lot of times, sometimes we're not doing the extra leg of the work. But for me, I think having a bit more transparency around what is happening, what are the goals and objectives, what are we investing in? This is one of the things that I'm incredibly inspired with Larry about. He's very clear in his letters, what he's thought, our aspirations as a firm, and our North Star around delivering for our clients. That is what we're focused on. And so having that clear North Star, I think, has been incredibly inspiring for me and makes me excited because I know what I'm working for, the success of our clients, because rising tides lift all boats. Your success, collectively, BlackRock will be around for a lot longer to help other generations.
That is a great answer. And it brings me to my final question.
Oh my goodness, final question already? You just warmed it up, Paul.
Well, if you got another hour, I could come up with some more questions, but this one is pretty important, Stephanie. And in our prep session, I walked away thinking what an amazing answer you just provided. And the question was, what is your legacy? And not just the thing that's your legacy, but how you approach your legacy. And you mentioned to me that, well, it was more than a mention. You said that it was about leaving a life of impact. And I thought that was beautiful. I thought it was a perfect answer. Can you expound for the audience on what you meant by leaving a life of impact?
I'm going to give you a very personal story here.
Okay.
I hope to do it without tears because it's the story that resonates with me and we didn't even talk about it. So about 3 years ago, my mom passed away suddenly.
Okay.
She she lived an amazing life. She is my shero.
Mhm.
Wasn't on Wall Street.
Mhm.
Actually, she was a nurse,
Mhm.
but gave it all up to raise 3 children.
Mhm.
And she used to do this thing, and I'm telling this story for a reason, where every day between certain hours, her cell phone would go off, and I would make fun of her and go, "Oh, there she goes. All right, your patients are calling."
Right.
These are her friends and family or different organizations to which she volunteered her time. When she passed away, 700 people showed up to her funeral,
Mhm.
300 to her burial.
Mhm.
It wasn't the number, I want to be very clear.
Yep.
I say this with humility, and it shocked me. I said, I don't know how many people would actually miss me
Mhm.
that much. I heard stories about things she did, how she loved, how she gave, how she sacrificed, how she coached, how she mentored. I thought she was only doing it to her only daughter,
Right.
but she had a lot of other daughters I just wasn't aware about. She did it in secret, not with what was on her chest,
Mhm.
Goldman Sachs or BlackRock.
Mhm.
She did it with the power and with the remit, with the sphere that was given to her,
Right.
that little circle, and touched a lot of lives.
Mhm.
Got me thinking, okay, Steph, the end of all of this, partner, great. MD, great. BlackRock, great. Goldman, great. So what? Then for me, how I've been raised is to whom much is given, much is required.
Mhm.
And it's not about the money you give, the recommendation letters you write, which are all important. I
Mhm.
want us to be altruists. I want to give to charity. I want to volunteer my time on boards. But is the impact of what gifts I have been innately given, the lessons I have learned through my career,
Mhm.
and the misses that I've actually had. Where am I sharing it? And who knows?
Mhm.
How am I helping someone avoid the footfalls and pitfalls that I've had and do it better, faster, stronger than me?
Mhm.
Not just my family, but my community.
Mhm.
So, how I like to do that is I volunteer my time.
Mhm.
I'm on the board of a nonprofit of, in Newark, New Jersey.
Mhm.
I try to volunteer, in different arenas as well. Volunteer even at work through diversity, even coaching, mentoring, not only people that look like me,
Mhm.
but who are different from me. Your ability to create connection, humanize, and also inspire, motivate, and sometimes even give real talk. That's what I like to call it,
Mhm.
is the most powerful thing that you can do.
Mhm.
My seat allows me the opportunity to meet and to interact.
Mhm.
What does your seat enable you to do? Use it.
Mhm.
What is your gift? What is your talent? Mine, I can talk. Mine, I can convene.
Mhm.
What's your gift, your talent? My
Mhm.
son can build models and solve problems, but it's a gateway for him to connect. Never miss the gift, the talent, that whatever you have, the access, it's only the gateway to. And the end result is two things: the to the benefit of someone else other than yourself, where
Mhm.
there's nothing in it for return. And second, the introspective learning, digging process and development that we should also go through as a result of that interaction. It's not one way. Every time I do something like this, meet you, meet other people, talk, or even just spend time with people, I walk away better, a better human, more empathetic. My implicit biases start to
Yep.
erode and erase because I become more informed. And I appreciate the beauty of what is diversity. It is, at the end of the day, America's secret sauce.
Mhm.
And I hope that we continue to capitalize it not only in this industry, but everywhere, in every sphere, in every circle that we have. So if I could ask, and you didn't tell me I could, so I'm going out on faith. I want to challenge everyone. It's not about me. If you got nothing at all today, not one thing, the one thing I hope you walk away with, what you envision and what you focus on is possible. So watch your focus, watch what you say, watch your community, and if it doesn't serve you, do something. Because we all are here for a purpose. And in our place of employment, even there, we're meant to have impact. Look up, look down, look left, look right. That's your sphere of influence. Do something.
Thank you, Stephanie Smith. You are absolutely awesome. I am filled with gratitude from what you shared today. And the only thing you said that was incorrect is if you got nothing out of this interview today. You gave them so much that it would be impossible for them to get nothing. But let me give you 3 words of thanks. 4, actually. I'm going to thank you for your time. I know you're busy and all of us have to manage our time. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your insights. This series is named Insights for a reason. We need people that are willing to be vulnerable, to be introspective, but to also project what they lived and what they experienced. Thank you for your leadership.
Thank you.
Wall Street is better because of you. BlackRock is better because of you, because you can hold people accountable. You have the authority to do that. And lastly, I want to thank you for your example, right? Because whether it is our audience's first time hearing from you or not, there are going to be a lot of people on this platform that track you from now on. Your LinkedIn, your speeches, your all of it. They're going to follow you because you gave them so much today that it was worthy, and you invested in them without even knowing who they all are. So thank you for everything, Stephanie. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you for the time and the opportunity. My sincere thanks to this amazing organization and the platform that you've created for diverse leaders. NAIC, this Insight series has touched my soul because it also, as a leader, very rare do we get to take those moments to reflect. And this was a very reflective moment. And Bob, I'm eternally grateful to you for making this effusive whole lot of Stephanie come across kind of okay, but with humility to you and to NAIC and its leaders and to all of our colleagues around the world. A sincere and humble thank you. And I look forward to working with all of you to sharing our insights and just being better.
That's awesome. Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.